Howdy all, hope you're all doing well. This video is prompted by my grandpa, who's not actually my blood relative. I don't know my blood relatives really. Hopefully I get to meet them and find out who that really is. At some point, I grew up in a flipped family, as I've detailed in earlier videos, so I'm just running with what I've got. And this non-blood relative of mine, my grandpa, the only grandpa I knew growing up, Grand Martin, of course, uh, apparently was a part of the team that invented the first mass-produced color television over at RCA, or the Radio Corporation of America. And this happened in the 50s, and they were put into place right in the midst of quote-unquote World War II. And if you can read between the lines, there's a lot that can be said about this time period. And we'll get into all that. So, what's funny about this is this RCA plant, which built these TVs, was in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And it's since gone under. I believe it says 89. The plant was phased out. But the location of that is especially funny. And we'll get into that too. So let's read through a few of these slides and see what we think. So the plant that made these televisions was initially a wartime facility in 1942. RCA purchased it in 1946. Its major function was color picture tube types, which lasted until 1972. The latter years were devoted to support other facilities. So a 90-acre cornfield purchased in 1942 led to the most modern electron tube plant in the world. Radar tubes production was a major force for war effort. Management and labor worked well together with incentive campaigns and monthly awards. Communications fostered through newsletter and broadcast from plant to the employer. The wartime effort brought numerous national awards towards war effort. So do you see how they're telling the truth without telling the truth? By making all these televisions, they are effectively enhancing the war on people's minds that are not in the club by making color television available in people's houses and bringing all of the tragedies and travesties of war to your living room, which was all, doctored and made up, and people just do not operate that way. But this is what they were here to do, and we'll get into their vernacular as they go forward here. The company, I'm not going to talk about any specific people. I don't address any. So they purchased in 1946 from the U.S. Navy. I don't believe that. They would just hand it over. There was no like money between these people is nothing, and converted it over to TV tube for production. The plant expanded in the next 5 years, unprecedented in TV tube production to ride the TV boom years. So a FCC, note CC 33, decision in 1953 greatly enhanced the color television production and further expansion. So this central censorship company makes a decision to make these more readily available to the public, and let's brainwash everybody with our moving pictures. And now they're in color, so people will actually be entranced because it's more true to life. So 1942, 1952 relates Navy wartime utilization to TV2 production. The middle years of 52 to 62 catapulted Lancaster to the capital of the world's color TV industry. So when I think of modern day big tech things, it's what, like Silicon Valley, California. It's like Japan as an entity unto itself. It's a lot of Germany, but they're like, it's these bigger entities. I don't think of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which would be hilarious to some of you if you know what a big aspect of Lancaster, Pennsylvania is. Let's see, ethnic employees, Lancaster newspaper items. Um, this is kind of interesting. They were founded in 1919, which again, relating to our current pandemic, that number. I was thinking about that before this video. I guess 19 is the ninth prime. I don't know, but could be a reason why they chose that, the ninth prime. I don't know. Part two relates to 1929, 28 to 1958 era of wartime contributions. It's what it is. It's what they did. They contributed to psychological war on people. Boom in color TV, space systems, and microcircuits in computers. Part five, computer advancement, so forth. And I wanted to reference this at the beginning of this page. An urgent reminder to RCA family, dated June 12th, 1944. I didn't get this publication because it's just right there. To join the war effort by working at RCA. So I guess the angle would be that you're feverishly producing these televisions so that people understand what's going on over in Europe, and they feel like they can be a part and somehow help out. That's the angle they want you to take. But in reality, it's brainwashing, and that's the war they are really conducting. And it makes me sick to think about this. My without giving too much information, my um, Martin dad, not my biological father, even admits he's not. Um, did it really late in life. I was 26 when he formally admitted it. I didn't know for certain until then because I just had faith in people, and I don't know. I thought there was some little bit of resemblance in us, and I tried to find things, but he doesn't look like me, and I thought I was Italian my whole life. I'm not Italian at all. Just funny. But what was I saying? He also worked in entertainment, so it's kind of in the family in a way, and I mean, it's the elephant in the room. Are these people in our lives that are in these like that don't advance the conversation on all this truth stuff? They basically live in Hogwarts, and their jobs, they can't be that legitimate. They can't. So I think that they're basically not working that hard. They've brought us to here with cell phones and restoration of old technology. Some of it's inevitably new, but so much of it's old. And I think that's what's going on here. And you guys have to watch this video and let me know what you think about this what you see, the various machines, all that's going on, and if it seems like they're using old machines, which is what I think, and they've restored it, and it's simply back up and running instead of, no, this is a brand new operation, and we've taken years and years to figure out how to get it going from grassroots. And it just doesn't. Nope. I think they say like something like 30 years of working on this project, and it just doesn't. Nope. The tech is so advanced. You'll see. Um, so keep going here. So this, yeah, RCA on the other hand was working with a system. This is in reference to the TV wars. So it makes me think of, in my lifetime, video game wars. In the 90s, it was like Sega versus Nintendo. And then as the 2000s rolled around, it was more Nintendo versus PlayStation, Xbox. And, oh, which one do you get? They're all a little bit different controller schemes. And it's kind of like, do you watch Disney Channel or Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon? It's all the same thing, really. It's all programming you, and they're all owned by evil entities, and it's making you feel like you have choice, and like there is a side to be on. Another one that makes me think of is Hershey's and Mars, like bad candies for you. Another obvious example, really sugary candies with fillers and additives, and nothing really healthy for you, but they're probably the most well-renowned candy brands because masonry, etc. They want to push the ugly corporate stuff above everything. But I digress. So let's read here. Working with a system that would be compatible with black and white sets, they just needed more time. RCA was. They just needed more time to perfect their rotating disc technology. In an aggressive move, RCA sent out 25,000. That's a 7. So I don't know if they actually sent out letters to television dealers condemning any of them that might sell CBS as incompatible, degraded televisions. You don't see this as much nowadays. I don't watch as much as I used to. I don't really watch much at all. It's pretty much background to my daughter's cartoons. I don't even like it seriously. I don't even watch anything. I've completely cut off video games. Besides, again, like sitting there with my daughter, showing her like some of the more, it seemed ostensibly innocent ones. Man, I'm close to just throwing the thing out. There's just I don't. There's not much good to it, and you know it's made to program you. Here we are. CBS is incompatible, degraded televisions. What I was saying is they don't like. It seems like they don't do these attack campaigns between tech companies as much anymore, or they're like way less um, obvious about it. RCA also slowed down CBS, sued CBS, slowing down CBS's advancement in the sale of color TVs, but both names are household and prevalent nowadays anyways, so it's kind of just like this satanic entity is fighting with this satanic entity, both are bad. And yeah, here is the little war. It was RCA, however, that ultimately won the color TV war on December 17th, 1953. RCA had improved its system enough to gain FCC approval. This RCA system taped a program in 3 colors, red, green, and blue, and then these were broadcast to television sets. RCA also managed to minimize the bandwidth needed to broadcast color programming. They basically had a system that was not too different from the previous one, and they could easily implement it. Whereas CBS wanted to start, what CBS essentially, from what is described here, had a totally different system that was too expensive. And it again, if you're familiar with video games, it reminds me of Nintendo 64 going with cartridges instead of the discs because they were cheaper to manufacture. People were used to them. They already believed in the household name of Nintendo and so forth. So they did that. So this was what RCA had. They were working on a system that was already so similar to what was already present. They just made this improvement of these on these tubes. And then even furthermore, to prevent black and white sets from becoming obsolete, adapters were created that could be attached to black and white sets to convert color programming into black and white. These adapters allowed black and white sets to stay usable for decades to come. So don't worry, if you can't afford one of these color TVs, you can buy an adapter, and then your black and white set will be able to retrieve. You see how they've always been doing this? Like there's always it's like a 5-year, usually maybe 7-year run of some tech. For me in my life, it's been video games. Like again, I'm going to reference Nintendo because I was born with Nintendo. It's what I know. 1990, I think it was 1996 is when the 64 came out. And then 2001 was the GameCube. 2006 was the Wii. 2000, I don't remember, was the Wii U. It's like every 5 to 7 years. And this is like a big technological improvement that renders the old one obsolete. You have to pay this stupid amount of money, and then it keeps you in this following the Joneses, following the cutting edge. But yeah, if you wanted to hold on to the old one, they were more nice back then. It wasn't like Apple nowadays with their predatory change the charger every generation, so you have to get all new gear and on top of your new phone or new laptop. So at least they were more considerate back then with that. But I mean, the brainwashing, it's all that really matters at the end of the day. How are they doing it, and how can you remove it from your life and expunge it from your brain and so forth. And yeah, here it goes hand in hand. For those of you who are into this or have looked into Tavistock, we'll read here. It was established to wage Psychological Warfare on the Masses, and it was founded by John Rawlings Rees in 1947. Okay, so right again, what is that? End of World War II. There is something significant about that, and all the 50s programs with the dad goes to work, and when he's wearing his tie, the Martin goes to work and he's wearing his tie, and he gets home, and his Swire Strat wife is doing everything, and they have the Stepford Wives nonsense that goes along with that, and it just this like ridiculous model of family that some people romanticize it still, but it's so grotesque. um, and yeah, you have that onset of programming. I think of BioShock for those that are more in this generation, that kind of like excitement around this ideal that was so ridiculous. But yeah, 47, right? What did we say? 44, they're talking about it, but was it 42 was really the big year. Yeah, 42 was when the plant built up. So in this 5-year span, you've got this big color television plant being built, televisions being made in 53 formally, or like at least so the big broad public knows. And then just prior to that, you have this Tavistock being made. So 2 days after the birth of CIA, there you go. Tavistock has reshaped modern society through an invisible army of shock troops. Virtually every major corporation, university, think tank are linked to Tavistock. They are everywhere. Many social movements of the last century have been Tavistock projects, including feminism, which is all led by Swires, transgenderism, which is just completely not what they say it is. It's a way bigger and more complex thing than they let on, where they say it's only a handful of people and you got to respect everybody. Well, it's like, yeah, you got to respect everybody, but um it's also majority of the population. It's virtually all people who identify as male. um so for global warming, of course, like I think they can make the heat dome, or like the dome where we live in the firmament, they can certainly warm that up with all their chaos and confusion. We could easily have electric cars for cheap for everybody, but here we have gas guzzlers. I drive a gas car because I can't I can't afford a car on my own, to be honest. And um, yeah, it's it's just not set up well. We could easily, as a sensible society, completely rid the world of gas cars in a way that doesn't cost people so much. But that's not how Satan works. Satan kind of wants to hang it in front of you like it's the obvious thing, and then make it extremely expensive, so then you feel like an asshole. I mean, that's how it looks to me. What do you have? Anti-gun movement, radical left-wing ideas. They invented the Beatles, and the Beatles, man, ugh. Like, there's a couple songs that, like, here comes the sun, something. There's a handful I think back on that are like, I don't know, I guess somewhat touching and interesting, and like, but there's so many where like the the way they harmonize, it literally sounds like annoying insects in your ear, and I have trouble listening to them, and I know that they're an evil entity. Rolling Stones, of course, more blatant evil entity in my opinion, have an album called, what is it? Their Satanic Majesty or something. Yeah, just I guess it's just two sides of evil, same thing. One is the more like the Beatles are more of like the good cop, and the Rolling Stones are more of the bad cop, but they're both giving you the same thing. Rap and hip hop music, which is just gross, and the essence at core, the majority of it is promoting baseless, bad values, mostly related to sleeping around, being adulterous, and being a braggadocio, bravado. So many rappers they just brag about themselves. Half of their work is them bragging about themselves, and I just, it's disgusting, and there may be some truth in rap, but it comes with all this vanity and disgusting behavior. So yeah, profiled and brainwashed by most Americans have been profiled and brainwashed by Tavistock, and they don't need, like, they just use your phone now. They'll just throw you things that are similar to what you've already looked into, and it's yeah. So yeah, back on the funny point about Lancaster, it's like as far as I know in my life, it's the most well-renowned Amish hub that I know of. In Amish, for those who aren't in America, it's a group of people who in essence have refused technology. They've refused, not technology per se, but like things like electricity, television. Funny we're talking about this here. And the the like the ultimate conveniences of this world that honestly, it's sensible to live the way that they're living, but they don't live that way. That's what's funny about it. So they're this is one of the largest Amish communities in the United States, but at the same time, there they are pushing strollers, and they are part of the society. They see everything. They're not. It's like the same idea as these like supposed tribes that exist around the world that are away from everything. No. Like, you can try, like, maybe like this little kid's doing a one eye. Like, what do you think that I didn't even notice that before? Like, what do you think that is? It's because it's a fake bullshit, one of their myriad of distraction things. Oh, they're so holy, the Amish. Oh, they're so holy, the Native Americans. Oh, they're so holy. They want you to feel like dog shit at every turn because, you know, you're living in this world. It's, um, but I just find it so funny that you have this color TV, like this mass um, brainwashing device, Black Mirror, that's associated by place with this community that is supposedly steers so far against the ideals of this plant and this company, Radio Corporation America. So I'm gonna move on to the video, and I want you to think about you take it as you do, obviously, like the Bible. Take all these things as you do. I don't want to be. I just pay attention to the skulls and bones. Okay, obviously. Pay attention to the equipment. First and foremost, pay attention to the equipment. Look at it closely. Does it look new in that time, or does it look like it's being refurbished? Pay attention to that. And then the RCA logo, of course. Look at that, because that's telling as to what they are and what's really going on. And without further ado, here we go.
Imagine the face of nature restrained by monochrome. Now see it in all its glory, dignity, inspiration. Not a world in black and white, but everywhere the multicolor face of nature. Color. It can entertain. Color. It can even save your life. RCA in 1951 successfully demonstrated to the FCC a 16-inch compatible color TV tube, and in 1953 put the 15-inch tube into commercial production. Today, at the David Sarnoff Research Center in Princeton, New Jersey, color TV research begun in 1930 continues on phosphors, keys to brilliant color pictures on your TV screen. On new techniques for TV screens, looking for improvement inherent in RCA's total investment of over $130 billion in color TV. The quest embraces new magic for the electron gun. Modern science keeps pioneering for the benefit of modern manufacturing. Today, from modern RCA plants, this one in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, flow round and rectangular color TV picture tubes in volume production. The surging total is well over 1 million units a year. Another plant in Marion, Indiana, shares in this remarkable production achievement. What's behind this achievement? On the 21-inch round tube, the 25-inch and 19-inch rectangulars. Suppose you look and see. First, at light-emitting phosphors, green, blue, red. The primary colors that come alive in your color TV picture tube. Here's how. From the triple beam electron gun, electrons flow to the shadow mask where they pass through tiny apertures and excite the trios of color phosphor dots to paint your color TV picture. There are 4 major tube parts: face panel, shadow mask, funnel, electron gun assembly. To make the shadow masks, thin steel is first coated on both sides with a light-sensitive emulsion. Aperture pattern is printed and developed on each side. The pattern of the aperture is etched out. The masks are removed from the roll. There are over 330,000 apertures in each 21-inch round shadow mask. Each mask is inspected for perfection of apertures. The mask is further measured for proper hole diameter, about 1/10,000th of an inch in the 21-inch round mask. Visual inspection, silhouette of craftsmanship. Cross-section of an aperture greatly enlarged. Aperture shape and diameter are critically controlled. Production flows on. The shadow mask cannot remain flat. It must be shaped to its proper contour. Here for the rectangular 25-inch tube. Typical investment in machine power, personnel power. The masks go on their way to be welded to the mask's frame by a unique indexing machine. The goal, as in all operations, is perfect uniformity and top quality. The road to quality has many checkpoints, including this critical contour check. Green is go. To the next main tube component, the face panel. First, incoming inspection for the face panel, on which you actually see the color TV picture. This equipment verifies the panel's seal edge at many points, automatically, precisely. Then the contour of the picture surface is checked at more than 100 locations. The glass face is also examined for optical blemishes. Any scratch or distortion means rejection. Certified. On to screening, where the shadow mask and face panel are joined, and where the 3 color screens are applied. The panel is washed, TV dot clean, to receive over 1 million precisely positioned dots of phosphor colors. The first phosphor is applied. Here, where many steps merge into one, a color career is being born. The material is called phosphor slurry. Every aspect of this deposit, weight, composition, volume, is rigidly controlled. The procedure for the round tubes is duplicated for the rectangulars. Here is the application, too, of color TV research dating back to 1930, and tube technology refined through the making of millions of many kinds of tubes. The shadow mask is oriented into the face panel. Next, the first phosphor dot will be positioned. By exposing the sensitized phosphor to an intense light beam, which passes through each aperture at the same precise angle as will the color electron beam. This is accomplished on the lighthouse. The unexposed material is washed out, leaving a dot pattern. The phosphor dots are scrutinized for size, shape, uniformity of light emission. The operations are repeated 2 more times until, for each aperture, a trio of dots is formed. To provide a brighter color picture, the new phosphor dots are first covered with a film of acrylic resin and then a thin vaporized coating of pure aluminum. Shadow mask and face panel are made a permanent assembly. Mask and dot trios locked in proper alignment. A tube sub-assembly is completed. The funnel, third major part of the tube, gets its own rigorous incoming quality inspection. These tests include mechanical dimensions, alignment of neck and funnel, quality and thickness of glass, trueness of mating surface. Now, at many peripheral points, the funnel is questioned. It must have the right answers or it cannot pass this border. On its journey to your home, following a thorough wash, the neck of the funnel is ringed inside with a red, high-resistance film. Next, a highly conductive black coating. The balance of the interior of the funnel is sprayed with its conductive coat of black. The 2 major glass assemblies, the coated funnel and the screened face panel, are now ready to be joined. The bond starts with a sealant called frit. This special sealing glass is dispensed to the mating surface of the funnel. At the bulb seal oven, the face panel mating surfaces are cleaned and prepared for sealing to the waiting funnels. Fixtures hold the parts in rigid alignment for the several-hour passage through the oven. Under intense heat, the frit sealant crystallizes, forming a vacuum-tight, high-strength bond. Electron gun manufacturing, as with all tube parts, begins with material control, where all incoming materials are tested with extraordinary care. Take cathode nickel, for example. A sample is dimensionally checked and identified for further laboratory analysis. In the chemical and physical laboratories, the sample undergoes spectrographic analysis, verifying the exact composition and degree of concentration of all metals present. Another guardian of performance, the test to determine if carbon and sulfur are within specifications. Nickel samples are polished for examination for crystal structure. The electron probe analyzer will identify inclusions as a final check on perfection of material for the triple electron gun. Now highlights of the gun's making. First of its sub-assemblies, the partial gun. The merry-go-round, where components of the partial gun are loaded into precision fixtures and mandrels. Close tolerance design and manufacturing experience are segments of the circle. Working skills learned through generations of tubes complete the circle of quality. Another circle, bonding glass and metal. Fire to lock the partial gun components into one rigid permanent structure. Inspection is continuous. Aperture alignment, part spacing, and angular gun tilt are verified. Convergence cage parts, another important triple gun subassembly. Its parts are made of special magnetic material. They are assembled to extremely close tolerances. The stem, to which the partial gun and convergence assemblies are mounted. An old and respected art here, stem making, carried to new heights of perfection by RCA's depth of experience in bonding glass and metal. Final assembly of the triple electron gun is completed in a pressurized clean room. First, the heart of the gun, the cathode. In this special chamber of the clean room, it is sprayed with its emissive coating. Jewels being selected, heaters being inspected. They must glow in performance. To keep high performance level, never ceasing vigilance. In the capacitance inspection, assemblies are electrically checked for mechanical dimensions to ensure that every specification is met. Once more, the partial gun is checked for alignment and cathode coating. Another quality checkpoint to assure good performance and long tube life. Gun mount assembly in the pressurized clean room. Care, extreme cleanliness, and the delicate touch for precision components. All parts of the triple electron gun now become one. Convergence cage, gun, and stem are first jigged, then welded into an integral unit. Final inspection for the complete gun, including a check of more than 150 welds. It's a manufacturing responsibility, and it's an exacting examination. But it's not enough. Quality control inspection, independent of production. This exemplifies the overall RCA pattern, insistence on quality of product and performance. The triple electron gun now becomes a permanent part of the tube. In this glass sealing operation, there is heritage at every turn. Receiving their gun assemblies are both the round assemblies and the rectangular assemblies. The sealing flames, bringing the triple electron gun closer to its dynamic role in the color TV picture tube. Each assembly now becomes a color picture tube by being processed in this straight line exhaust machine. The oncoming cart, a complete pumping unit, will carry the tube through the oven, where high temperatures will drive contaminating gases from the glass and metal parts, while the tube is being pumped down to a near perfect vacuum. During this process, the cathode is also activated, and the stem tubulation is sealed. The tube is given its base, and the getter is flashed. It goes on to the aging conveyor, en route to testing. In the dark, the light of factory testing. For every single tube, demagnetizing starts a series of critical production tests for purity of color, convergence, focus, resolution, light output efficiency, electrical characteristics, and for top performance under black and white and color signals. In addition, quality control makes a continuous sampling test on a daily basis to assure the product meets all specifications. Application lab engineers cross-examine sample production tubes in actual TV receivers for performance compatibility. Unique equipment, special inquiry. The tube is tested in a controlled magnetic field. electrical characteristics of sample tubes are evaluated on a special engineering recorded reading test set. A permanent record is maintained of all significant criteria of performance. Important, the tube's ability to reproduce color and black and white with equal quality and fidelity. Sample tubes are subjected to long-term life tests, monitored for their stability of characteristics during a thorough series of investigations. In addition, larger samples from each day's production are subject to short-term operation and evaluation by PRAM, which means Performance Reliability Assurance Monitoring. Constant vigil on quality. Laminating. The safety glass is positioned on the face panel. RCA furnishes color TV picture tubes with or without an integral filter glass protective window. Pressure equipment fills a preset spacing between the face panel and the protective window with clear plastic. Nearing the end of several hundred major operations and coming to conveyor's end, the last production electrical test and visual inspection before packaging. But each production lot is retained in shipping for a predetermined time, and then a quality control sample must once more satisfy demanding production standards. Only then is the production lot released to manufacturers of color TV receivers. In progressive TV set manufacturing plants, each tube becomes the heart of a great achievement, the compatible color TV receiver. RCA's progress in color TV since 1930 in research, materials, product design and development, and manufacturing has created new opportunities at home and abroad with tubes of known quality and performance. The 21-inch, 25-inch, and 19-inch. These are the tubes that bring to your home the beautiful world of color.
So, I think you heard heritage all around. It's fascinating stuff. I think for the larger machines, a lot of them were restored, and I cannot fathom being in one of those, being in this plant. My goodness, how freakish that would be to be in that room with all those screens, surrounded by screens, wearing a lab coat, making these one-to-one, a couple different inch sizes of these tubes, but these same types of things over and over and over again. Okay, if television is this boon, this flower of the mind that's supposed to benefit us, that's one thing. Flower of the heart, supposed to educate us, which it can, but so much of it is, again, wartime. It was built to brainwash. And take it back to the slideshow. And there's just no denying that. So part of me looks at the wood grain of those L televisions and can kind of see the promise of it being this thing that you look towards to benefit and educate your family, or and introduce concepts in a simplistic way. And I think in many ways it could have been that, but nowadays I think when you see the flat screen without the panache. It shows the true intention behind the thing. In essence, is to brainwash. It's not to educate. And I think the deeper lesson here being that this is not the first time they've done this. RCA, the C's got the lightning bolt, and yeah, radio, electrical current, sure. But I think we know what the lightning bolt signifies and what fake war and how this whole club works. It's just amazing to watch these machine elves at work. It blows my mind. I could not fathom being in that factory. I, I do not know how people did that. I, and to this day, people are producing things like this, and they know the evils it's going to bring to people and the harm it's going to do to them, and they still do it. So I thought that was interesting, and I really wanted to show that to you and get thoughts percolating on, like, it took them, if that's what, 1953. We're saying a lot of us are talking about this industrial revolution mid 1800s. So it took them a long time to get these things back up and running. If we say that this technology existed prior to the floods, the big flood, it's it's really interesting. All right, well, talk to you guys soon. God bless you all, and uh, just curious to hear your point of view on all this. All right, later.